at the Ridge, and it is now time for Steel Commander Superbikes for qualifying session number 2 here of the weekend. We did have session number 1 yesterday afternoon here at the Ridge Motorsports Park in Shelton, Washington. You see Jake Gagne there getting a last little sip of some water before he puts the helmet on. There is his teammate Cameron Peterson also on pit lane. Both of them a decent qualifying session yesterday, Roger. They were 4th and 5th after Q1, but it was all about Ducati at the top of the charts.
Yeah, great. That HSPK Ducati team did a great job yesterday. Loris Baz, provisional pole, Josh Herron second, Bobby Fong rounding out that provisional front row. But those Warhorse guys really came out this weekend strong, and Loris is starting to feel confident where he can push it. We see the track back come up here at the Ridge Motorsports Park, and one thing you'll notice, no real straightaways on these Superbikes. Things come up quick. It's tight technical through turn 1 all the way through 5. Super long turn left-hander into 6. Down into 8, and then the turn 9 on the Superbikes is so fast, wide open, up over that hill, into 11, 12, and then 13 as you run down there, try to get on the run there to the start-finish line there. As you see, it's a short run out of that last corner. See Chavi Flores here yesterday on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki with the Insta 360. Getting a lap in, and you'll notice on the Superbike the amount of work. We heard the riders talk yesterday about how physical this track is, and you know, when you watch this video, just kind of, you know, one thing to watch for is see that the bike is never really straight up and down. They're always kind of turned over on the side of the tire, trying to get grip. As they go down here, you'll see front end really bottom out. It's just a lot of work. Constantly, you see them weighting the pegs, trying to get the bikes turned. This is coming up to the part of the track where I said that's really fast through this turn 9.
Such a great look to be able to see what the rider's body is doing, the way they're able to control these machines using just their body, nothing else around them. So it's great to be able to get those angles from Insta 360. Take a look at the championship point standings. There has been a big shift after 2 races back at Brainerd Motorsports Park, as Bobby Fong is now our points leader by 8 over the number 1 plate of Jake Gagne. Josh Herron, after a great day yesterday and 2 podium finishes back at Brainerd, he's sitting 3rd in the championship point standings. You see Cameron Beaubier getting back on the bike, and I know that Michael Hill is down there near him.
Yeah, a delayed start to this qualifying session for Cam Beaubier, who did have a spill yesterday. He has obviously a broken heel, which he sustained at MotoAmerica. But there was an issue for Beaubier, not with the heel. Interestingly, the issue was with his gloves. Here's a look at what happened yesterday. Nothing really to worry about as he went down, and you can just see him hobbling around. But there was an issue with the glove. For some reason, he wasn't happy with the glove. He sent one of his team to the side of the garage, or the side of the pit area here. He got a new glove and came on, but he's a little bit out of sorts. And I just wanted very quickly, before I hand back to you guys, just to point or make a comment about the domination from Ducati yesterday. The 1-2 from Ducati. That is the first time since MotoAmerica began 10 years ago that we have had a Ducati 1-2 in any Superbike session. I triple-checked that yesterday. So the Ducatisti around the world will be very, very happy with that. Ducati 1-2, can they hang on to it?
And right now we continue to watch Cameron Beaubier as he is now out for the 2nd qualifying session. That's an interesting thing about the gloves, because I noticed in Q1 yesterday, Roger, one of the team members, as Beaubier sat there, came over and he was wiping off his gloves. How important of a piece of your kit are your gloves?
It's huge, but because you know, that's where the throttle, and then you feel the brake and you move your hands quite a bit, and it could be you know, could be a number of things. Something could have spilled on the glove possibly and not have good grip. And then also some riders, when they get a new glove, it's a little tight, and they don't like that feeling when it's a little bit tight, and they'd rather have something a little more broken.
Beaubier is getting up to speed. You know, it was one of the things he said in our preview show yesterday before even he went out for practice, was with that broken heel and coming back from that injury. Normally you would take a little bit more time off, but he didn't have that time. The way that this championship has unfolded and the way everything worked out back at Brainerd, and his name, you know, he was leading the points and then he all of a sudden wasn't in it anymore. So he had to come back out, and he's just going to make the most of this weekend, and he's going to ride the best that he can and salvage as many of those points as possible. Just keep his name in the equation, get through this week and get through Laguna Seca in just a couple of weeks, and then he's going to have a longer break off to be able to recover.
Yeah, and I think because the way things are going, and he's, you know, 42 points is a lot, but that is enough where a guy like Cam can make up for it. And I think all those other guys, you see here with the gloves.
So this was yesterday. This is what I noticed in that qualifying session yesterday. They came over and were wiping his gloves off before he went back out there.
Yeah, and sometimes you spray, you can either get stuff on it from the crash, picking the bike up, some fluid, and then also some guys spray things on their gloves to break them in a little bit, and then they want to get that little extra film off. But for Beaubier, I think he looks and sees that he's only 42 points out. And, you know, Jake Gagne's having struggles, and that's, you know, the main title guy, 3-time Superbike champ the last 3 years. And feels like if he can come here, he can maybe claw a couple points back if Jake has some issues again this weekend, and then have that time to really get healed up.
Take a look at the season that Cameron Beaubier has been able to have. Even after sitting out for an entire round and missing a race back at Road America, he's been on pole twice, he's been on the podium 4 times, he's been able to win 3, so he's certainly here to salvage as many points and keep his name up there in that equation. But he's had a great start to the season. He just needs to be able to keep it going. But right now everybody is chasing Bobby Fong in the championship point standings. We now see that #1 plate that Jake Gagne that you were talking about, and struggles. And you know, it started off with the arm pump, and it's just continued into an issue where now his fingers are going numb.
Yeah, and it's tough, that situation. I mean, you think about when you wake up in the morning, for anybody that's ever had that problem, their hand's asleep, and then you think about going and trying to slow down a motorcycle at 180 mile an hour with your hand asleep. It's really hard. You can't feel the brake, you can't feel the throttle. You know, and when you can't feel that, you don't know how hard you're braking, and you don't know if you're getting on the throttle or not. And for Jake, he's just trying to manage it the best he can, and he's did a great job managing it with all these issues that he's having all year. And he still hasn't. He was leading the points all the way up till the last round there, and kept himself in that fight for whenever hopefully he can get that problem resolved. But it's really tough. You know, it's a really tough spot to be in, and you know, you just want to be safe. You don't want to hurt yourself, and also you want to make sure that you don't do something where you injure another rider.
It was one of the things that he said just a couple weeks ago back at Brainerd, was that he's in an unusual situation for himself, being that he feels like right now he is the weak link of that organization. He knows that the bike is fast. He knows that the crew is giving him a machine that's capable of winning, but it's him that's got to find the confidence and just the ability to be able to take it to its limit.
And that's the thing about being on such a great team like the TAC Yamaha is, you know, he feels like he's the weak link, but, you know, the team backs him 100%, and that's what the great thing about being, you know, on a good team, a good rider, where all you guys really work together, and they're supporting him during this time right now, and just supporting him, and hopefully just keep being in that fight until they get it sorted out.
As we watch Jake Gagne on a lap that right now he went personal best in the first sector, wasn't able to carry it through the second sector, but as we continue to watch him, if you're watching with us on YouTube, just a reminder that if you want to be able to continue watching all of the action throughout this weekend and the rest of the season, you go ahead and go to MotoAmericaLivePlus.com and create your account and get yourself all signed in so you can watch all of the sessions live and in their entirety. Races included will all be on MotoAmerica Live Plus, as well as other exclusive content that you can only watch there and on demand, as we now see our championship points leader on the privateer Ridge Motorcycle Yamaha, Bobby Fong, just going red, meaning that he was best overall, improving that time to a 1:40.28 for Bobby Fong. And we will combine this qualifying session with the qualifying session that we had yesterday afternoon. Loris Baz was quickest in that one with a 1:40.0. So with 22 minutes remaining in this session, we're getting close to being able to combine these times and build out a front row.
Yeah, and you know, for Bobby Fong, he's just reeling those laps off, kind of like he did at Brainerd. That's 2 laps in a row, as you see Beaubier. This is the part of the track that just, you know, you think about having a broken heel and you're wrestling a Superbike around the way Cam Beaubier is doing it. I mean, it's just, you know, it's good. It's such a challenge that he's facing this weekend. He's doing really, really good right now. Looks like he's on a good lap. He's going to move up to second with a 40.3.
on the last lap. Bobby Fong was already red in Sector 1. You can see on the screen that he's red in Sector 1 again, but Loris Baz also on a good lap, as you see that number 76 Ducati there leading this number 40 BMW of Sean Dylan Kelly. And for Sean, he talked about this weekend being one where we're going to come back. We're going to turn it back around. He started off so strong in this Superbike assault this season as he goes now around Loris Baz, putting in some good laps. You see Bobby Fong, though, still at the top.
Still at the top and putting another good lap in. We'll see when he comes around if it's another. Looks like it's going to be a little bit better lap possibly, but you know, we'll see. And if he does it, we talk about race pace all the time, and you know, Bobby does another minute 40. It's going to be 39.9. That's faster than they went yesterday. So Bobby now is on provisional pole, and that's 3 laps in a row that he's put in a good lap.
That 39.90, the first of the riders able to dip below 140 as he now pulls to the side, lets Jake Gagne go by. He knows that time that he just put in, that was enough for him for right now. And with 20 minutes left in this session, maybe he feels like there's some more out there, but it's a little too early to show it.
Yeah, and I think now he's got a lot of laps in and probably wants to come in and talk to the crew about some changes overnight.
Incredible lap from Bobby Fong, 139.9. But just watching the screens here as we watch Jake Gagne. Gagne up into 3rd position. Beaubier impressing in 2nd position. Xavi Forés has also made some steps forward. Interestingly for me, we have less than 1 second, Roger, covering the top 8 riders. And Sean Dylan Kelly, one of the riders that you mentioned with Jamie there about making a comeback after the disappointment from Brainerd. He's going to be chipping away. Hasn't been here for a couple of years. Impressive stuff once again from Sean Dylan Kelly, but it's going to be a 16-wheeler if it stays like this. 8 riders covered by 0.9 of a second. It's proper racing in Steel Commander Superbike this year.
You see Jake Gagne, quickest he's gone this morning is a 140.3. That's about half a second quicker than what he did yesterday. We saw Cameron Beaubier there also up into 2nd place, and he's about 0.8 quicker than he was yesterday. So everyone's found something overnight, even though the track we know is warmer than what we had for Q1.
Yeah, and with the soft tires, with the track being a little bit warmer, might work in its favor. And you know, just looking at the track temperature and the grip and the lap times, you can tell that the track's in a good shape. Cameron definitely making a huge progress. And with Jake Gagne, his problem is he's got the speed. It's just the durability through the race, as we see Josh Herron here on track. Good ride yesterday. Had a couple little issues, but ended up 2nd there with his teammate. And this is a track where Josh last year came in, was on pole position, and had that big crash. So it's a track that he's really quick at.
Yeah, we started off this qualifying coverage talking about how everyone was chasing the Ducatis. It was a Ducati 1-2 at the end of the first qualifying session. Neither Josh nor his teammate Loris Baz have been able to get into that range that they were working in at the end of qualifying yesterday. So they have a little bit of a different strategy here as Josh Herron now a 140.4. Yesterday he was a 140.1. So you can see that they're still working through a couple of things, and before they're going to put that soft tire on, go out there for qualifying. It's Hayden Gillum now out there on the racetrack as well.
And Hayden's just been so impressive this year. You know, you go back to Brainerd on that Friday, and he wasn't doing Superbike that weekend because he was doing the King of the Bagger. But after that first day, he would have been top 4 in the Superbike class. And this weekend, he gets to get out there with these guys and show what you know, what they can do. And it's great to see now he moves into 9th in this session. Yesterday, at the end of the day, he was 9th, but just a 2.5 seconds off to the front.
As you see Cameron Peterson on a lap that would be improving for him. I want to go back to the point you were making about Hayden Gillum. If you're just watching us for the first time, just catching up, you know, you just saw Hayden Gillum, and you mentioned that he's out there with Superbikes. He's on a stock 1000 bike. That's all part of the Superbike Cup. That is the race within the race here with Superbikes. What are the benefits of being able to ride a stock bike in the Superbike?
Well, I think the biggest benefit is being out there and getting to ride with the Superbike guys and being in that level. You know, in stock 1000, he's kind of, you know, dominating right now, but now he can get out in the Superbike class and get that extra push that he needs to keep improving. And you know, he's riding so well right now. And you know, when you're out there on the stock 1000, you want to show those Superbike guys, look what I'm doing on the stock 1000, and he's definitely doing that.
As we see now, Loris Baz back out on the racetrack after spending a couple moments on pit lane. Bobby Fong, after going to that provisional pole, also went into pit lane. We saw him at the exit right there with Loris Baz. So under 17 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, the final qualifying session for Steel Commander Superbikes, and we're getting close to the time where it's go time.
And a lot of the guys, you know, you never really know what strategy some guys are on. A lot of guys at the beginning of the session will go out on the tire they finished on yesterday, and some other guys will start the session on a new tire. And I think the Ducati guys look like they probably showed up and went out with that tire they put on toward the end. And Loris is still putting some good laps. I mean, 40.3, he's almost less than half a second off the front. And I think after yesterday has to be a huge boost of confidence for Loris. He's kind of carried that over today, and he's been on an upward swing the last couple of races.
He was a 40.0 at the end of qualifying yesterday. You see his teammate's bike there, that other Ducati from Warhorse HSBK Racing sitting on pit lane right now. Josh Herron debriefing with the team just a little bit before he gets back out there to complete this qualifying session. Another rider that was just on pit lane, Xavi Flores, who is filling in for Richie Escalante with M4 XR Suzuki. And we're expecting to potentially see Richie Escalante back this weekend, but he is continuing to recover from injuries that he suffered early on in the season back at Road Atlanta. So I still have Xavi out here. Xavi won both of the races in Supersport last year as Loris Baz has completed that out lap and now circulating it at a much higher speed, Roger.
Yeah, it's been fun watching Loris these last couple races as he works his way closer to the front, and you know, coming back. He had a huge injury last year, you know, on that ankle. And it's great to see him back. He comes through that first split, best split of the whole session, the red sector, that first one. So Loris is on a good lap right now, and you can kind of see it in his riding. He's got his head down.
You can see on that graphic as well the minus 0.174. That is, if he's able to continue the lap at this pace, that is putting him below the provisional pole time right now by 0.174 seconds. So as we continue to watch him come across red, meaning that he's the best out on the racetrack, if he can carry it through to sector number 2, it'll either, looks like he's going to get maybe held up a little bit, but cleanly gets around. He went yellow in the second sector, meaning that is his personal best, not the best of anybody out there, but it's still an improvement for him, and you can see how that added some more momentum to him as he's now below the provisional pole time by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, and that turn 13 is so hard to get it right, and he did a great job when you're trying to push to that slower corner. This long left-hander right here trying to already work his way up to this job on the front straightaway, and it looks like it's going to be the best lap of the weekend.
A 1:39.478 for Loris Baz as he moves himself up into the provisional pole right now. You can see the round of applause from the Ducati organization as they see now that they're on that provisional pole. Michael?
Yeah, big round of applause down here from the Warhorse HSBK team. And interestingly as well, a little nod of the head from Josh Herron, who is just talking to Simona. They're making some changes to that Ducati number 2. He's got a new rear tyre in, so Herron's seen what his teammate can do. What can Herron do? He's going to be out on track in a couple of seconds, but all smiles down here for Ducati.
Be interesting to see what Josh Herron does do when he gets back out there as we now watch JD Beach. This is one of the other Tytler Cycle BMW. JD in Superbike full-time this season as a teammate for that number 6 bike that we were watching earlier with Cameron Bobier. His personal best time, a 1:41.8 for JD Beach, but he's still struggling a little bit, Roger, to get comfortable.
Yeah, still struggling a little bit, and you know, I know that JD is working so hard with the team, and they're trying to figure out just that little bit of confidence. They talked about a couple races ago, they made some adjustments to the bike to try to make JD more comfortable, you know. So right now he's just struggling, and it's just trying to find that confidence and getting comfortable. And you know, we know JD, how talented he is, and how hard he's working to try to close that gap to the guys at the front.
You see now as Josh Herron is out on the track, and we have an incident for JD Beach.
Man, just glad to see. Looked like a fast crash. Man, that just, when you're struggling the way JD's doing, and you're struggling with confidence, and you can't get comfortable, and then now you crash. I mean, it's just really, it's a really tough spot to to be in for a rider, and you know, but that's just part of racing. There's highs and lows, and right now JD's trying to, you know, fight his way to find some more confidence. I think we're gonna have a replay pop back up here, just coming out of the corner there. Just, it was weird. It was almost like when he went to shift, and something happened. Kind of looked like there. We see another angle come up there, but kind of looked like he's on the edge of the tire, and then just all of a sudden the rear kind of stepped out a little bit and came back. See, yeah,
let's see the rear. Those were all slow-mo. This is how it really happened. Just how quick it all unfolds.
Just in between turn 6 and turn 7, that's a part of the track that really goes downhill that we talk about. And you know, you don't see a lot of crashes there. It was kind of weird, but JD there's starting to go a little bit quicker, and he was pushing a little harder.
One of the things that I noticed that he did as soon as he stood up, Roger, was he looked down at his left forearm at the airbag lights. Can you explain that?
Well, just kind of looking, and also the lights. You know, if you're you know, when he got up with the airbag, the lights, you kind of know when, you know, you put your leathers on and those lights start blinking, you know that the airbag's ready to go. And also there's a light on there that tells you when the battery's dead. So I think when JD got up, he's just kind of looking and start you know, just kind of looking at your leathers and make sure everything's okay. And I'm sure JD was wanting to try to get back out there, but not going to be possible.
So we now go back to the racetrack. You see Sean Dylan Kelly. He just went personal best, a 1:40.76 for SDK. And everyone in that mid-pack right now, you know, Sean Dylan Kelly, Chavi Flores, Brandon Posh, JD Beach before that incident, they're all at this point in the session putting in their personal best, just a little bit off of the pace from this top running group.
Yeah, a little bit off the pace, and you know, everybody's kind of improving. And you know, Sean, we see him usually make huge jumps from Friday to Saturday, just showing up. You know, the team new to Superbike, Sean new to Superbike. Friday is just a huge learning day for those guys, but you know, Sean has just been a little bit off this weekend, and I think that's you know, we talk a lot about moving the Superbike for Sean and the team growing pains, and there's going to be weekends like this weekend where you know, things are not as you struggle a little bit, but still he's only 1.2 seconds off. It's just so competitive. You're a little bit off and you're down in 8th.
But you talk about gaining so much from Friday to Saturday. He was still able, he's picked up, gosh, 7/10 from yesterday. So there's still a big improvement there. Michael?
On the 232, Kevin Pinkstaff, his brother as well, Brian, on these very distinctive Dayglow yellow machines. These are the ZX-10R Kawasaki's. These are the latest iterations of the Kawasaki. And Kawasaki, not a bike that we see typically on track in Steel Commander Superbike. Not sure why we don't see more Kawasaki's, but Roger, good to see Kawasaki back out there. You've had a little bit of experience in the past. I mean, they're a good Superbike.
Yeah, good Superbike, and it's great to see them out in the class, and 2 local brothers out there dicing it up and putting in some respectable lap times as well. You know, they're, you know, just about 5 seconds off the pace to Loris Baz, and that's really respectable for, you know, a couple brothers just jumping in on a MotoAmerica race weekend. Got a lot of home track advantage there, but you know, they're looking good.
Did you see Jake Gagne on pit lane? You can see him wiggling his fingers, Roger. The issue we were talking about earlier on, the fingers going numb, is your team working on the bike right now. We have just under 8 minutes remaining in this final qualifying session, and Jake just taking a little breather himself.
Yeah, just, you know, you see a lot of guys that struggle with arm pump or hands falling asleep. They stretch the arm out and just trying to get that blood flow going, and you know, we see Heron there on his personal best lap. Not going to beat his teammate, but possibility this can get him down into the 39s as well.
As he comes across the start-finish line, a 1:39.8 for Josh Heron, putting him up onto that provisional front row, moving himself around Bobby Fong, and all of a sudden, here at the end of this, towards the end of this qualifying session, it is Ducati, Yamaha. And as we watch that replay, we're being quiet, Roger. It's one of the only parts of any track I remember going to where you can actually hear the tire.
And that's just, you know, as slow as they're going. I mean, they're almost coming to a stop there. And, you know, with the engine braking as well, helping these riders slow down, kind of locks that rear wheel up. And, you know, you're not used to hearing that. Like you said, you're not used to hearing that. And, you know, it's kind of different even for a rider when you hear that, because you're not used to hearing it, but they're trying to get the bike slowed down. And, you know, also see a lot of riders make mistakes in the turn 13, and it just shows you how hard they're braking and how difficult it is.
So you see Hayden Gillum on a personal best lap for him right now aboard that number, the 69. And for Hayden, he's currently sitting down in that 10th place on a stock 1000. You can hear it there on Hayden's bike as well.
And Hayden's just a little bit more than the other guys because he has less electronics than the Superbike guys. That they're going to have a little bit more electronic aid than Hayden's going to have. We see him coming out of this last corner. This is a good lap for Hayden. We'll see if he can move up.
He does move himself up. So Hayden Gillum on a stock 1000 bike now sitting in 7th, a 140.6 for Hayden Gillum. That's remarkable, Michael.
Yeah, that is really, really impressive stuff from Hayden Gillum. He's been on fire, hasn't he, all season long in Stock 1000. That's faster than he did in Stock 1000 qualifying as well, Roger. Just try and put into some kind of context what Hayden is achieving here, because this is impressive stuff. I think I said it earlier on as well. If you look at the Isle of Man TT races, the actual outright circuit record there on that street circuit is held by a stock bike. Probably down to electronics. I think you touched on that already, but it's not just electronics. Hayden is riding the wheels off that thing.
No, I mean, the Superbike guys have more electronics, so that, you know, would probably help them in a lot of places like that. But, you know, for Hayden, he's just riding it, you know, riding it really well, riding great. He's a super talented young rider. The team's doing a great job as well, giving him a good bike that works well. So, you know, it's just that it's just the way Hayden's riding. We see guys out there with that little color on the right side of the tire there. It tells you that these guys are out on their the soft qualifying tire.
As Bobby Fong is trying to better his time. You can see that QR code on your screen. Go ahead and scan that right now, and you can play MotoAmerica for cash both today and tomorrow during Supersport, Superbike, and the Hooligans races. Then after today's races are over, there's going to be a whole new set of odds that are posted for tomorrow's races. So you can go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen and get started. And Bobby Fong throws the fist up. Is that in frustration, you think, Roger?
Yeah, and he made a little mistake in that first chicane, but maybe the bike or something happened, because I didn't see anybody in front of him. And, you know, to kind of put his hand up like that for your own mistake was kind of weird. So I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, you did mention, though, that he was on that soft tire, so he knows that this was his opportunity to move himself further up. Provisionally on the front rows, we watch Sean Dylan Kelly on a better lap for him as well.
And you're seeing right now a lot of guys making little mistakes, because, you know, as Sean now moves into fourth, you're seeing how hard they are pushing with these qualifying tires, able to try to get the most out of it. So you're seeing a couple little bobbles here and there out of these riders, and it's just because they're pushing so hard.
For SDK, that 140.0, you talk about that improvement. You can see a replay here for Sean Dylan Kelly. He's gained almost a second and a half from yesterday.
Yeah, and he just always seems like that team and him from the first day to the next just makes huge gains. And we'll see right now, he's out on another lap. The first sector came through, and he's on a better one.
Putting all of those pieces together, as you now see Cameron Beaubier currently sitting in 6th on that provisional second row right now, certainly further back than where we're used to seeing Cameron Beaubier, but he is still recovering more as we continue watching Sean Dylan Kelly. His personal best in the first sector right now, showing that he'd be 3/10 above pole time. So for him, that would dip him into the 139s if he's going to be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, he's losing a little bit, but when he goes and looks at the sectors, you can see Loris Baz with an accident.
That is our provisional pole sitter right now, Loris Baz, having a moment right at the end of this final qualifying session. And Xavi Flores with a great lap for him, putting himself up into 4th.
Cam Peterson also right now on a really good lap. All these riders now, you know, with the qualifying tire there, you can see the little color on the left side. And it was like right toward the end of the lap for Loris. Might have been his out lap. I don't know if he did a lap yet, but we'll see what Cam Peterson can do.
Cam Peterson, a 1:39.5 for Cameron Peterson, putting himself up into second place. This is a replay of what happened.
Well, that was his teammate.
This is Josh Herron.
Almost made a mistake, and that's...
You can see right in front of him, though. Just get the tail end of the incident for Loris. How fortunate, though, that Josh was far enough back that he was able to go around him. You can see that bike is not going to be able to make it back to pit lane, it looks like, with Loris on board.
Looks like the only guy on a lap right now is Cam Beaubier. He's gone through the first sector with his personal best.
A lot of improvement for a number of riders here right at the end of this session. You see Cameron Beaubier, you were just mentioning.
It is so fast through there on a Superbike. I mean, just wide open, and you can't see on the other side. I mean, it is just full commitment, especially these guys with the qualifying tire on with that little bit of extra grip. You could go through there even quicker. Beaubier's first sector is a personal best. The second one should come up any minute. It's not a personal best.
No, there was no improvement there on that second sector, but I think he's going to be able to get another lap in. You can see at the top of your screen 30 seconds remaining in this qualifying session, but as long as he can cross the start-finish line before the checkered flag waves, he's going to get another shot at it.
Yeah, and he's going to need another lap. He's not going to want to start in 8th. We've talked about this track, how tight and technical, how hard it is to pass. This chicane here, the first lap is really tight. You don't want to be back about mid-pack and get caught in somebody else's mistakes.
We watch Cam Beaubier right now. He did have some improvement there, bettering his time to a 1:40.3, getting one final lap here, but he is still down in the 8th position right now, as you see Sean Dillon Kelly, who even with the improvement from yesterday, still down on the 3rd row as well, down in 7th. And then Josh Herron out there also. It was a Ducati 1-2. Loris Baz continuing to be on the provisional pole right now. Josh Herron rounding out the front row as he's on his final lap.
Yeah, and you can see Josh is pushing as well. Cam Beaubier, first sector. Talk about Sean Dillon Kelly too. He's right behind Cam Beaubier, so he's getting a little tow from Cam to see if he can do a better lap as well.
Josh Herron on his personal best. Coming through the 3rd sector, still showing above his teammate right now. It's so close though, just 0.06 of a second right now separating himself and Loris Baz. See if he can wrap up this lap and find any more improvement. He is pushing so hard. You can see it in just his body language aboard that Ducati. And there's improvement there to a 1:39.5. Oh, you see Cameron Beaubier pushing so hard.
Man, you just don't see a lot of mistakes out of Cam like that. They look like a fast crash, not exactly sure where it was. You can see the frustration out of...
Oh gosh, and as we take a look at this replay, you could see the frustration.
Looks like the same place as yesterday. Turn 13, hard on the brakes, but this is going to be a lot earlier than yesterday. You see him just lock the front end there, getting into 13. I think a little bit has to do with he's changing his riding style a little bit because he can't weight the right side peg the way he is with that broken heel. And I think that's just putting him off a little bit into that corner. And you don't really see a lot of emotion like that out of Cam Beaubier, but, you know, I can understand it. He was on a good lap. He was a couple tenths under the pole time.
There's certainly going to be some improvement as he's now going back and picking up the pieces that he threw, but you can just see the way he's having to walk and move around with that heel as he continues to let that frustration out as the bike is now being picked up and taken away by the corner workers. That was the end of the second qualifying session here for Steel Commander Superbikes. And again, if you enjoyed this session watching along on YouTube, make sure you go to MotoAmerica Live Plus.com and be able to go ahead and set up your account to watch the racing live this afternoon. You see Loris Baz, that's our pole sitter, a 1:39.4 for Loris. He was pushing even harder there at the end and having a moment, not being able to take the checkered flag of this session, but still able to find a lot of speed. But Roger, with the incidents right at the end of this qualifying session, the next time the riders are going to be able to get out there and make sure the bikes are back together is going to be for the sighting lap right before race 1.
Yeah, and you can just see, you know, the crashes, but we talked about this this class being stocked and how competitive it is, these guys are pushing to the limit and a little bit more because they have to do that to get a good lap. Beaubier is going to try to push it down this hill, I believe, and make it back down into pit lane there and not have to sit out there and wait on the crash truck for Cam. But, man, you can see a little bit of work to do for the team in between that race.
It's certainly easier for Cam to get back and not have to walk. If he can ride that bike and get it back to the team a little bit quicker and they can go ahead and start getting to work. It's a great organization. So everyone will be all hands on deck to get him back out, but they're also going to be working on JD Beach's bike. Remember, he had an incident in this qualifying session as well. So it's going to be a busy afternoon for Tyler Cycles. Take a look at the combined qualifying results. Again, we mix them from qualifying session 1 that was yesterday mixed with this session. This was the faster of the two for sure. Loris Baz, your provisional pole sitter, a 1:39.478 for Loris. Cam Peterson right there, so close, just 0.06 of a second. And then Josh Herron rounding out the front row.
Yeah, Bobby Fong didn't get to take advantage of that qualifier. We've seen had a little mistake there. Jake Gagne 5th, Chavi Flores 6th, Shondale and Kelly, big improvement there in 7th. Only a half a second back, Cam Beaubier and Hayden Gillum.
So great to see Hayden Gillum up there inside of the top 10. It's a really impressive qualifying session for him. You see Brandon Posh, JD Beach, Ezra Beaubier, Cameron Beaubier's brother also out there inside of the top 12. Max Flinders, Benjamin Smith, Andrew Lee, then the Pink Staff brothers, the local boys that are out here mixing it up with Steel Commander Superbike. Just a really great field of competitors and a lot of work to be done before we get to our racing action later on this afternoon for the Steel Commander Superbike category. Their race will be at 3:10 p.m. local time if you're here at the racetrack. So have something to look forward to later on this afternoon as Loris Baz continues to make this long journey back to get the bike to the team.
Yeah, a couple crews are going to be busy during this break, making sure get these bikes fixed and ready for that first race. But Loris Baz, great to see him there on that, having pace all weekend so far. We see his teammate Josh Herron, who was second yesterday, but another good qualifier for Josh this morning, was pushing hard on that last lap, trying to go a little bit quicker, see if he can knock his teammate off that top spot. Wasn't able to do it, but still a good lap for Josh Herron. He's going to start third. Cam Peterson, another good day for Cam. He was 4th yesterday, moved up a couple spots today, and he's going to be in the middle of that front row for race 1 this afternoon.
And then you see our provisional pole sitter, that is Loris Baz, and this was before things went awry for him. He felt like there was a little bit more out there, pushed it, found the limit, and there's going to work to be done, but that Ducati definitely has some speed as Loris Baz sets the provisional pole time at 1:39.4. Assuming that everything works out, he will be our pole sitter as we get into this afternoon. Let's sit it down now to Michael Hill.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. Loris just asking me to give him a second there. He wanted just to relay some information to the team. Loris, never nice to go down, but a nice little graceful crash and an outright circuit record, I believe. Pole position, great job.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 times that I go this season with the Q pretty good and I crash. So we need to figure out that Q tire that always push the front, and it's really stressful when you put that. It's always change the back. But yeah, super happy to get that pole on the race tire. So it means a lot, especially coming from where we are. And as I said yesterday, I had to rebuild a lot of my confidence and a lot of work on myself after a really hard season and injuries. So I want to thank all the people from HSBK Warhorse, all the sponsors. Special thanks to Bobby that gave me an opportunity to come back here and show that I still got it, and it was not easy for all the guys to put the 2 Superbike race team in place. So really thankful for all the sponsors in the team, all my personal sponsors. Special thanks to my girlfriend that has been a massive help since 1 year for me.
Okay, thanks, Loris. We'll wish you well for that. Just to confirm as well, it wasn't a race record. Jake Gagne still holds that, but nevertheless, a stunning qualifying lap for Loris Baz. Stay with us on MotoAmerica Live Plus. There's more to come.